valuable. So throughout this episode, I'll be giving out the exact strategies that took me from £100,000 in bad debt to building a $13 million portfolio. But this journey has given me more than wealth. It's inspired a mission to help everyday people like you take control of your financial future. So every week, my team and I pour everything into bringing you market updates and proven strategies because we genuinely believe that everyone deserves financial security. No gimmicks or empty promises, just real insights from someone who has walked this path. And to help spread these insights to others who need them, I truly appreciate if you could subscribe to our channel. When you hit that button, you're telling the algorithm that our content is valuable, which helps us reach more people who deserve this opportunity. You're joining a community dedicated to financial independence for everyone. If you do subscribe, here's my promise. My team and I will make this show better for you every week. We'll listen to your feedback, answer your questions, and continue supporting your journey to financial success. So thank you for being part of this mission.
Welcome everybody to the Lunchtime where you eat and we talk. And we're talking about episode number 12. We have with us today myself, Marcus, but we also have Dennis Salstrom.
Yay!
Live in the office. We just had a members meeting with 500 odd people, 200 in the room, and then 300 online. It was amazing. What did you think of it? Love Fest.
So much fun. Absolutely. Be surrounded with like-minded people is absolutely incredible.
Love and connection is one of the basic human needs, Dennis.
Yep.
Who said that?
Marcus de Maria.
Well,
and Tony Robbins before.
That's the one. And episode number 12 is, can you wealth without sacrificing your lifestyle?
Yeah, that is a good question.
Okay, and what's the answer?
Well, I mean, yes, you can obviously do that, but the real question is, should you?
Ooh, good one. So we have a question here, and we love your comments and your opinions in the chat. Do you really have to suffer to succeed financially? So write it in the chat, or there might be a poll. I have no idea. So do you really have to suffer to succeed financially? Like, while people are answering that, and welcome everybody, I mean, obviously it's a bit leading, right? Do you have to, I mean, suffer is one hell of a word, but let's go into that. What do you think?
I think there's nothing wrong with suffering. It's a very wide term. I mean, it shouldn't,
Most people would disagree with you, right? They say, well, why would I have to suffer? No one wants to suffer.
Yeah, but I think, not everything is pleasurable. And I think, like, if you could even go as far as saying, if you step outside of your comfort zone, many people are suffering.
At the beginning.
Because it's uncomfortable, of course, right? They don't want to do it, but when you do, and then you expand and you grow, then the suffering turns into something pleasurable, I think. Because if you are never suffering, I don't think you're ever going to be outside of your comfort zone, or very, very rarely. So it depends on how you define suffering. If you could say there's a good form of suffering, I think absolutely. If you know that you will suffer a bit, but you know it's the right thing to do, you should do it.
Yeah. It's just that word suffer is quite, I mean, there's going to be some discussions about does it have to be suffer,
Yeah.
Okay, so what we have on today is really, we're reacting to popular wealth and balance. In fact, we've got a little video here from the one and only Dave Ramsey. You know Dave Ramsey in the States? He's got this amazing show where people phone in, and but it is what I would call very kind of traditional, but we will see. We got a real life question from Reddit, lifestyle versus wealth, polls, presenter reflections. So this is what I really want to talk about. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do it. So we're going to play a video, and then we would love to have our thoughts about it. Okay, now I'm going to get a pen and paper. Well, actually, let's start. We teach a thing. I don't know whether we can hear this, so I hope we can really hear this, and I'm going to play it now.
We teach a thing called the baby steps, and it's the order in which to attack your finances. The first baby step is, before you do anything, save $1,000 as a beginner starter emergency fund. During the first 3 baby steps, we temporarily stop all investing until we accomplish these foundational steps upon which we're going to build the rest of the house. Okay, baby step 2 is to become debt-free, everything but the house. The reason to do that is that when you have no payments, it's much easier to build wealth and increase your generosity. Baby step 3 is, once you're out of debt, everything but your home, we would have you build then upon your emergency fund of $1,000 up to 3 to 6 months of expenses. Those you do specifically in order. Then baby steps 4, 5, and 6 we do simultaneously. 4 is 15% of your income into retirement. While we college for kids, that's 5. And then any other money we can squeeze out, we throw at the house and pay off the house early, baby step 6. With your income, you're going to be to baby step 7, which is 100% debt-free and maxing out all retirement very quickly in your situation. And then you got no payments in the world. Now you got nothing to do but build wealth, live, and be generous, and lots of vacations.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, lots of good stuff here. So, basically, baby steps. I just wrote these down. Right. So, number 1, have an emergency fund of £1,000, or I mean, I'm assuming he's talking dollars. Get rid of your debt. Number 2. Number 3, build up that $1,000 to 3 to 6 months worth of expenses so that you have that buffer. And then he said 4 and 5 and 6 simultaneously. I didn't really understand that, but 15% goes into your retirement pot of everything that you earn. So you build that up, savings for college, kids, etc., and then paying off the house. And if you do all of this, then step number 7 is 100% debt free. I mean, I like it. I like that there's a framework, and I think it's important to work towards a framework. And quite frankly, if people were to teach this right from the beginning, I think it's great. However, I don't agree with some of it. Look, Dave Ramsey is amazing. He's got a huge following and he's extremely successful. For me personally, though, I have to say, is that I would go debt-free first. You know, because that's eating you alive. Sometimes when you have like 19% a year on a credit card, sometimes it's more, 23, 25%. I would do debt-free first and then build up an emergency fund. And I wouldn't do 3 to 6 months immediately, because you need to basically start investing into an asset that's going to make you a lot more. So for me personally, what do you think?
No, I agree with, as you said, a framework. And I think maybe for some people this is a good way to go if you don't really learn too much about investing and trading.
Agreed.
So it might work, you know, for many.
For the average person.
For the average person, yeah. And I agree, learning this early, amazing. Yeah. But then there's a few things I don't really agree with as well. Like, for example, I agree with paying off the really high debt, as an example, as you said, the high percentage
do that
interest.
First?
Maybe, I mean, save a little bit first, maybe, but then absolutely do it. It's definitely in the top 2, because that's, like as you say, eating you alive.
Yeah, but here's the problem, right? When you're doing this emergency fund thing, right? You're just allowing that debt to accrue more and more and more. And I tell you, the compounding effect, this will be a negative compounding effect, is massive. Yeah. Some people that get in debt, they cannot get out of it. And then they've got their claws in there, and it's just this spiral. And they can't even, Dennis, pay off, forget about paying off the actual sum that they own, the interest, just the interest alone they can't pay off.
Crazy.
Oh my God. And then they lose their house and everything. It's just awful. So for me, it's absolute debt.
Yeah. No, and I would agree a lot with that, because the interest is so high. But I don't agree with the house, as an example, and the mortgage.
Paying off the house?
This point, paying off the house, because I think it's a lot better. Because the mortgage, it's so, the amount is so low, right? You pay maybe 4 or 5% a year.
What do you mean the interest rate is so low?
The interest rates, the interest, sorry. The interest rates are very low, so all you need to do, let's say you pay off $1 million, right? That's great. Then you remove that part of the interest of the 5-6%. What if you took that million, you learn how to make 20% a year, and all of a sudden, every year you make the interest of 5-6%, but an additional 15%.
I think that the challenge is that, well, it's not a challenge, but I think that Dave, and again, amazing guy, and I love what he does. It's absolutely fantastic. It comes from a generation where they don't want to owe any money. My father's from that generation, right? He always says, because we have quite a few properties, and he goes, you are paying them off, you are paying them off, you are paying them off at 5% or 6% a year, and it's been a lot lower, especially around COVID time, right? Why would I do that? Why would I do that when I'm getting 50, 60, 70% a year?
Yeah, so I think
in my investments.
Yeah, I think it's more a conversation about how much are you able to make on a consistent basis, and then take that in relation to the mortgage and the interest. So if you don't know how to make more than 5% a year, sure, then the best option, of course, is to pay that off. But if you do know how to make more than 5% a year, then I would
But most people don't. Most people don't.
Exactly.
But when you look at somebody like Benjamin Graham back in the 50s, who wrote the book The Intelligent Investor, he states very, very clearly there's two types of people. I can't remember the exact name of them, but one of them was you should just go into like normal blue chip companies. You know, they didn't exist back then, but the Amazons, the Googles, the Microsofts, the Teslas, etc. And you know, you will outperform the market. There's no doubt about it. Whereas Dave Ramsey always talks about going into mutual funds, where immediately you get charged 2, 3, 4% a year just for the management fee. So I'm dead against that, and they don't perform very well. And he says, this is Benjamin Graham, he says that there is another type of investor. If you just use your head a little bit, you will massively outperform the market. I need to cough, so you go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I do really believe that that's what we teach. So I do believe with the statement that you need to, and this is all about, I mean, there's a step missing here, and this is about finding out what's happening in your finances. Most people have no clue.
What do you mean by finding out?
So looking at what they're spending money on, right? So creating a balance sheet, if you like, but income and outgoings every month, because you say the first step to change is awareness. So you need to be aware of what's happening with your money. Most people are not, right?
Yeah.
Like, where did my money go? So you need to find out what's happening with your money, and then you can start to make a change.
Isn't it incredible how we measure so many different things? Actually, are we good at measuring as people? Do we measure relationships? Do we measure health? Do we measure finances? I don't think we are that good.
No, because the most important things in life we don't learn in school.
What, like English and maths?
Exactly, those are two. No, but we don't these things really, right? And of course, then if your parents if they don't teach you, who will?
I mean, the thing is, we're going on to a totally different thing, but like the parents should teach you those things. Right? Why should it be up to the school to teach you stuff like that? Why?
Your parents should absolutely
manners. How to teach.
But it becomes we can skip that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
okay, what do you think about this 3 to 6 months of expenses? I've heard that many times.
Yeah, no, I think
just in case.
I think it's good eventually. However, what I think in this case is if you do have that, you're probably going to go, well, I don't really need to put this extra effort in. I don't really need to work a little bit harder or learn how to invest because I have my buffer. Yeah. So then a lot of people get content. But if you only have 1 month or no month, then you go, shit, I need to do something. And that's might be, mindset-wise, I think that could be quite powerful.
Yeah.
So I think the 3 to 6, I agree, you should have that, but I would have it in investments. I wouldn't have it in the bank.
Well, no, absolutely, because he talks about, okay, this is really important, right? Saving.
Yeah.
That's very, very old school. I would say the only reason you save money is to grow it, to invest it.
Absolutely.
And nowadays there are so many vehicles in order to be able to do that are, especially in the UK, that are tax-free. You wrap it up in an ISA or a SIP. You could do spread betting, I guess, if you know what you're doing. All of these kind of things, whereas just saving, putting money aside, to me it says like you're putting money, under the bed. It's ridiculous because you're losing that value in inflation. But as a framework to start with, to tweak, I think it's great. Well done, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Okay, cool. Very, very interesting. Let's have a look, see if I can go to the next slide. Okay, so here's a question. Answer in the poll in the comments, which is, would you trade your lifestyle for wealth? Would you trade lifestyle for wealth?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
What would wealthy people say? They would do both. So,
do both.
Yeah, we do both.
That's what the great T. Harv Eker always says when you have a choice between two things.
Yeah, you do both.
You do both.
Yeah. No, what I would say, I think yes, in the shorter term, absolutely. I think you can, right? I think I do truly believe in hard work as well. But there's a few things.
It's funny, isn't it? Because do you have to suffer instead of there's hard work? The words.
Yeah, you don't need to. Yeah, I mean,
How about long hours? Why does it have to be hard?
I mean, I've always worked really hard, but I've never felt like I'm suffering.
So that's not hard.
It's more
then.
of a passion and duty, right? No, exactly.
Okay, you mentioned a word there, and okay, so here we go. For me, and now, I don't know, maybe I'm old-fashioned, right? But for me as a man, it is you just said the word, so I'm going to latch onto that. It is just my duty to do whatever it takes. If that includes suffering, right? If that includes giving up lifestyle, I don't care. That is my duty. It is my duty to look after my family, to look after my partner, to look after my kids, because my kids are helpless. No offense if you're watching this, kids, but they are literally helpless. and they didn't ask to be brought on this world. It is my duty to do that. And if I'm unhappy for a while, or I'm going through stuff, it is what it is. It just is what it is. It is my duty. I like that word.
Yeah, I agree with you. However, I do think that you can do both. Like at some point, right?
At some point,
yeah. In the beginning, you might need to work a lot harder, but I don't think you should ever neglect
or during.
Yeah.
There might be some dips when either your investments aren't going well, or the business is suffering because there's a downturn, or there's COVID. You know what we had to do during COVID?
I do.
Everything went out the window. Forget it. We had to save the company, right? So I just think that there are cycles.
Yes.
And you got to do whatever it takes.
Yeah,
and I don't mean to be sexist. I don't mean to do a male-female thing, but that's what I'm telling you. My thoughts are that as a man, that's what I need to do. Point, period.
Did you know that there's more people in US that have that's millionaires than that have abs, visible abs?
There are more millionaires than abs.
People with visible abs.
Okay, but I don't know what your point is.
My point is this. Well, okay, that's actually beside the point. But the point is this: that you should never neglect your health. I think.
Okay, but having visible abs is not a sign of health.
I know. That's why I said that's a little bit beside the point.
Okay.
But I think a lot of it doesn't need to be one or the other. I think if you work. Let's put it this way. The average American, I know that study was made, at an 8-hour workday, they are focused and disciplined and do good work 2 hours and 43 minutes out of 8 hours. So I do believe that there's room for all of it. I believe you can build wealth if you're really focused and disciplined during your work days. And I believe that you also can enjoy life in whatever measures. You should enjoy life when you're working.
I don't disagree. Remember that the lunchtime trader is that if you're working 8-9 hours a day, right, use your lunchtime in order to do, well, I mean, the lunchtime trader means that you're investing during that lunchtime for 20 minutes, but it could be health, it could be anything. Excuse me, we had the members meeting and go on, you're on.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I would never. You want some water as well?
I'm good.
Okay, I would in the short term, yes, but I think you can do both. I think you can create a lifestyle and at the same time create wealth and generate wealth as well. I don't think there needs to be a separation of the two. I think nowadays you can work anywhere as well. But I do think you need to put the effort in. You need to put the effort in to learn, but more so, you need to be disciplined. I guarantee you, whoever's watching this, but I think all of us, if we look at our phone and look what we spend the majority of our time on our phone and the internet and the amount of movies we watch or whatever it might be, I think we have plenty of time to build wealth and to have a lifestyle. And we just can't let the time thieves steal the time. I think
I agree. I think that that's why it's always good to have a coach and a mentor or a parent who teaches you that.
Yes.
Because when you start a business to start off with, or a career, but I guess more a business, it really is 24/7. And, for you to say, okay, well, look, you can do it, but don't forget along the way, don't forget to also have some downtime, to have fun and enjoy the journey, etc. But it's very tough when you're starting out. Very, very tough.
Yeah.
Okay, what about this one here? It'd be really interesting to know what the others feel. We got lots of comments, people agreeing, not agreeing, etc., and so forth, which is great. I mean, this is supposed to be a discussion. There's no right or wrong here, as there isn't anywhere. Don't think that anybody is right, or that it's the truth. There's my truth. There's Dennis's truth. There is the truth, if there's such a thing. There is no such thing, by the way. Okay, what about this one here? This is Boggleheads. What's the best way to enjoy money? Can we show this? Is it possible to show this one here? What's the best way to enjoy money while still investing? This is really interesting. I bet this is a man, though. All I think about is saving and investing. Yeah. It is a man, right? Boggleheads.
I mean, the picture is of a man, but
this is a man. All I think about is saving and investing rather than enjoying life. And I can tell you that's a man. Yeah. I'm 100% debt-free at 36 years. I have a new truck. Okay, this is American. Something that almost makes out.
Yeah, he basically said, I paid my house off, I paid my truck off, I have maxed my IRAs, which is the ISAs, etc. we have here. So I think
the IRA is the pension, I think.
Yeah, the pension, and then the emergency fund, all of it, right? He has enough savings, but still, if he doesn't save, or she, if they don't save, then they feel like they're wasting cash and money when they could use it to fill the buckets and to save even more.
I mean, he's a saver, right? So what we learned at the Millionaire Mind Intensive is that there really are certain money profiles. You're either a saver or you're an investor. They're two polar opposites. There's the money monk, who just doesn't thinks that they're above it. And then there is the avoider, right? The avoider. Monk, avoider, saver, and spender.
A spender, yeah.
Yeah,
Said investor.
did I say investor? See, I'm so
yeah.
And basically, this person here clearly is a saver.
Yeah.
I'm a saver as well. What are you?
I'm a saver as well.
Yeah. So it's very difficult for us to actually go and spend money. The best way to do that is the money management system.
Yeah.
Right, the jars or the pots or whatever it is that you want to call it. That's the best way to do it because it's an automatic way for you. And the Bogglehead or Asperger's or whatever your name is, that is the best way to do it, is to have a system where you don't have to think or second guess yourself. So we should go into that in a moment.
Yeah, we should. And then one thing I can add before you go into it, I think as well, is I think there's two things. Number one is you need to know what money is, right? Because I think you get into a habit of doing something.
What is money? What is money then?
If I get to in a moment, if you're practicing saving money for all your life, obviously you're going to become really good at saving and not spending. So you get good at what you practice. But the second thing, you need to know what money is. So for me at least, money is energy. So it's energy for me to either I could use to help more people. I can use the energy to do things I enjoy, and if I want to get more money, I need to help more people, right? Then create more energy. So if you take it away from being and also shift the mindset, maybe it's from scarcity to abundance as well, which as savers I do struggle with that as well. You just never know, right, what's going to happen. You
never know. You never know. I mean, I don't spend anything on myself, right? But if the kids need something, what they need, and sometimes what they want. But money for me is energy, a tool. I mean, at the Wealth Creation Masterclass, which is like this 2-day mindset and psychology thing, we talk about money being nothing but a reflection of the value that you give to society. So perceived value, which is an interesting discussion, but we won't have that here. So how can I enjoy my money better here is by using the system that T. Harv Eker taught me. And I've been using it for years. It's amazing.
Great. So you're using the system, but let me ask you, are you really using the system? Are you spending money on yourself? Have you become better at it?
I've definitely become better at it.
Yeah.
But I could do better. Absolutely. I could do better. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's an interesting balance. I mean, saving, yes, we can all agree investing and saving is important for many reasons, but so is spending. I mean, someone was saying at the members meeting yesterday, what point is there to be the wealthiest person in the graveyard?
Let's say that again. What is the point
of being the wealthiest
person in the graveyard? Well, there isn't any.
No, so there needs to be a balance. And
you need to know when to stop.
Yeah, and my brother taught me that as well. I mean, he loves to enjoy life.
Okay,
right?
but that's an extreme.
That's an extreme in the other way. But yeah, absolutely. But there is something in the middle where you can invest and save, but also get to the stage where you also enjoy life.
Okay, but you've got to get, in my opinion, you've got to get to that stage first. Or I'm sure some people here are going to say, but during the way, you've got to have lots of fun. But it depends what fun is to you.
Yeah, agreed.
To me, again, my duty it is to do several things. One is to make sure that my family's safe. But the other one is to help as many people around the world achieve financial freedom for themselves and their families through financial education. That's my purpose in life. And so, I can have fun. But every time I'm having this fun, I'm actually thinking about, actually, I could be doing something else because that's my fun. Donald Trump, they sometimes say, because he works 16 hours a day, you're always working. And he just looks at them and says, but this is not me working. He has fun. He loves what he does. So.
Yes, I think there's a big conversation about having more fun where you work as well. So having more fun at your job or your business, laugh more. Dan Martell said that,
Yeah.
Everyone says that business is so serious, right? And you turn very corporate and serious depending on the business you're in. But he said the moment this changed was when I realized, why can't I just have fun at work?
Do you think, by the way, at Investment Mastery that we like on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think that we generally have a lot of fun, no fun in the middle? Where do you think we are?
So if 10 is the most amount of fun, if we laugh all the time, it's probably a strong 8 or 9, I think.
It is.
Culture is incredible, I think.
Yeah.
I think everyone's just wants to have fun as well.
I think we laugh all the time.
Yeah, we
don't
laugh all the time.
We goof around all the time.
Yeah.
Don't take things too seriously. And if it needs to be serious, then we go for it.
That's it.
Okay, here's another question. Let us know in the comments. How often do you review your spending versus investing? So spending, that's money out of your pot, and investing, growing your pot.
I think it's
See what people
I think it's a little bit the same as if you want to, let's say you want to lose weight, right? The first step I think is, because I think we don't know how much we're actually eating. We think we eat a lot less than we do.
Again, we're coming back to this measuring thing.
Exactly. So I would say in the beginning, I think it's very important to measure what you eat, maybe for 2 or 3 weeks if you want to make a difference. So then you get, oh, wow, I'm actually eating this much. I need to do something about it. And then when you change it and you do it, and then you don't need to measure it anymore, because then you know.
Yeah.
It's a little bit the same with money, right? You need to know what you're spending first.
We really don't measure any. Well, as a society, we
Yeah, we
really
measure
don't measure
nothing.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, why am I not
So what
losing
should
weight?
people
Is
do
it-
then? They should measure what they're spending, what's coming in. You should,
You
right?
know, yeah, I think it depends, right? If you are if you're a saver, maybe not as much, but if you're a spender, absolutely. I think I think you said you wanted to get into it. Maybe now is a good time, because the JAR system actually does this for you, or the money management system.
Yeah.
So maybe it's worth mentioning. that
Absolutely.
now.
But, I would just thought at the weekend, you won an award.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you.
that.
So the award that Dennis won was for his first million in profit, but actually you're at 1.5 million? Yeah, but because we don't have a 1.5 million, so we gave you the million one. But we might do it just for you. We might do a 2 million one when you reach it at the end of the year. So what we wanted to talk about really, can we show this, by the way? Is it possible to show this? Because we have a money management calculator. And I think what I'm going to ask people to do is to maybe have the video on this at the top in a moment. But let me just quickly go through this. If 100% of your money... By the way, do you use this?
Yes, I do use it. Absolutely.
I use it. It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So 100% of your money comes into your main account, but instead of just having one account where you're spending everything, so you think there's a lot of money in there, so you go out and you spend, and then you don't have enough money at the end of the month, right? So we now have several accounts. You have, and I don't know whether I can show this like this. No, it doesn't seem to be doing that. You basically have your essentials pot where, what would you do in essentials?
So in essentials, it would be your rent, as an example, electricity, gas, what you have to pay, basically. It could be food in there as well, for sure, what you
For
eat.
sure, food.
So everything.
Could be haircut, could
Yeah.
be stuff like that.
And I think in the beginning, I think the rule of thumb is, it might be 70 or 80%, maybe more, but you want to get it down to maybe 50, 40, 30 eventually.
No, because the point is that you are actually, you think it's an essential, but it might be in another pot, right?
Yeah, true.
It might be in the learning pot. We're going to put 10% of your income into that. This could be a savings pot. That's for long-term saving. If you are, like Dave said, you know that there is going to be a special holiday, not every holiday, but a special anniversary or a car that you're saving for, or education for your kids, etc. And then you have the investment. Now, for me, that is... I shouldn't say this. I'm not a spender. See, so for me, it's the investment pot. I want to make sure. And by the way, all of this comes obviously from something that's happened to me. Because I was sleeping on my brother's floor for 6 months and I was £100,000 of debt. So for me, investing is very important because I never had any investment. So here, 15%, if you can. There was a time when you put more than 15% in.
Oh, it still is.
Yeah?
Yeah, I put probably 50% in.
I love
the
that. As
investing
much
pot,
as you can, you go into investing and learning, of course. That's what the other 10% is for, learning how to invest. Otherwise, what's the point? All you're doing is losing money if you don't know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, and by the way, I think there's no right or wrong in what we're talking about here. And since we're both savers, we're coming from a little bit the same angle, of course. Yeah. So we're all different. But I think the most important thing, because you might see the fun account is only 10% as well. So the spenders out there, you would go, what are you talking about? There's 30%. No fun left. So, you might want to adjust. It depends what your goals are. I mean, some people actually, Marcus...
Oh, you don't have to have fun spending money. You can have fun without that, right?
How is that possible? Okay,
really?
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, well. No, that is very true, of course. But I think as well, some people just want to live paycheck to paycheck.
listen, everybody's different.
Yeah,
That's the
nothing
other
wrong
thing.
with
Like,
that as well.
we can moralize and say, hey, you
Yeah.
need to be investing more, and somebody else can moralize us and say, you need to be spending more.
Yeah,
Listen,
that's
everyone's
it, yeah.
different. It's just that if you're I'm not complaining about my life. I have an amazing life. If somebody is complaining, though, then
That's
I would
it.
suggest, like, have a look at this, because, 10%. But here's the thing about the fund pot. You do have to spend it every single month,
Yeah.
okay? I don't manage to do that.
Me neither.
But I think most people probably would be able to, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Except for savers.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they
Because what
would
they do
struggle,
is they
yeah.
say, well, why don't I just have fun in a different way, not spend the money, and put that into something else like investing and saving and get there earlier? And that's a choice as well, but then you don't have balance. And I think that's what this whole discussion is about. How can we have more balance?
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's both ways, right? That's
And-
more investing as well,
the
not
key
just fun.
is and the incentive here for the spenders is the more money you make, obviously the more money will be in the fund pot. And if you can get the essentials down a lot, maybe you can ramp it up a little bit to 15-20% eventually, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it gets easier and easier, because when you all of a sudden turn, if you turn $1,000 to $2,000 or pounds, it's going to be the same amount of work to turn 10,000 into 20,000 or 100,000 into 200,000. But you can do so much more with it, of course. But if you spend everything, that's going to be a challenge, because you're never going to reach it. So it's going to be the hardest amount of work in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's harder at the beginning, and you make more money towards the end, right? Like,
Yeah.
so out of your 1.5. And by the way, that's just the investing and trading pot. I mean, there's other things, I'm sure, property, etc. But I'm just saying that that's pretty liquid. And would you, or you tell us, when did you make the most amount? Was it the beginning? Did you make 1.3 million and, the last year you only made 200,000, or was it towards the end?
Always towards the end.
Always towards the end.
Warren Buffett made more money in the last 3 years than the other 80 years combined.
Let's say
Can
that
you
again.
believe
Let's
it?
say that again. Was it last 3 years, last 10 years?
We say last 10. I'm sure there is that.
Yeah,
but I'm sure
definitely
he
does.
made the most the last.
Well, as well.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
depends on the market.
Yeah.
But let's just say the last 10 years, listen, the last 10 years, he basically made the most money. He's been doing it since he was 14 years old.
Not only that, he made more money in the last 10 years than the other 80 put together, basically, or 70.
All
it's a
right.
lot.
So, were we told to look at the chat?
Yeah, we need to look at the chat. So a question that came in is, when do you know it's okay to loosen up? When can you stop being rigid, as an example? It's the way I see
Yeah,
it.
but you see these words like rigid. I'm going to call it not rigid. I'm going to call it disciplined and following a structure, following a step.
Yeah.
Why rigid? Why use these words? So for me, loosen up. This is normally for people who would want to have the amount of money that we have, and say, oh, you need to have more fun. No, I don't need to do anything. This is my life. What you need to do is mind your own business. No, what? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's so true, so true. And it depends on your goals, right? If you want to get in a really good shape, is it okay to skip 3-4 days at the gym, or skip 2-3 weeks even?
Yeah.
Maybe yes, maybe no. It's up to you. But if you want to get in a really good shape, I would suggest following a system. Find someone that have done it and then do it. Do you don't feel like it today? Still do it.
Yeah.
As you say, if
here's
you wanna
another one
have a
here.
goal.
I'm hitting my financial. I mean, there's a lot of questions. We're just choosing
Yeah.
some of them, right? I'm hitting my financial goals, but I still feel bad spending. Well, that was just like the gentleman there, right? I still feel bad spending. How do you get over that?
I think-
Over to you, Dennis, because I'm like that as well. I
Yeah.
don't really enjoy spending, to be
Yeah,
honest.
over to you. Oh shit. Okay, so
Hot potato.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's practice. I think it's using the money management system, but then I think it's practice. I think it's rewiring yourself a little bit, because you need to.
What about
change-
having a partner that maybe is more, more of a spender? That would help.
Well, yes and no. Depends on how much of a spender. If she or he is completely opposite, it's going to be very tough.
Opposites attract, I've been told.
Well, yeah, you save all the money, she spends all the money. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure that's what we're talking about here. Well, that happens in a lot of relationships.
I don't really mind that partner were to spend my stuff on me and herself.
Okay.
She
let me
should
ask
have
you
her own
this.
pot anyway.
What if she spends not only the
No,
fun pot?
it's only the fun pot she's allowed to spend.
Fine, right, but that's not what the fun people want, right?
No, that's not what they want.
So to answer that question, I think it's about just changing what it is, right? I mean, if, for example, my wife, she values going to really nice places, right? Experiencing things. She always says, Dennis, I'm not sure we're going to be alive tomorrow, so we need to do this now.
See, I like that.
Kind of thing.
I like that
it's a lot of
energy.
urgency.
Yeah.
So we end up doing a lot of things,
I like
which
that.
is awesome. So we create memories. We just have a wedding, as you know. And I mean, that was such an amazing experience.
It was.
So why not do more of that? I'm not going to remember all the days in the office necessarily.
And
but
I think having a partner, I'm looking for a partner, by the way, if anybody's out there, I'm looking for a partner who can turn my head a little bit.
Yeah.
That means I'm going to spend all the millions like in the next 6 months. But I'm saying I am looking for somebody like that. And I think that's a good balance. But don't expect, but it would be great if that person then, if she kind of like instigates that, right? Because I'm not going to probably.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I don't expect her to start making a lot of money either. If she does, great, even better. But I'm not going to expect that. So don't expect me to. But by the way, my answer would be, I'm in my financial, but I still feel bad spending, is to have a system. So use the pot system, use the jar system, and that 10%, you should not feel bad spending it. In fact, you should feel bad if you don't spend it. That needs to be spent every single month. That fun pot needs to be empty. Should we do one more question? You choose?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to choose this one. Okay, so is it okay to pause investing for a few months to do something big, like travel or move? What would you say?
Well, again, if you have a system where you've been putting money in every single month, so on this system you have, let's see, 10% for savings. So that's what you have been doing. Now, if there isn't enough in there and then something comes up, for example, a funeral, let's say a funeral, you can't just go, well, I'm going to bury that person in 6 months' time, right? It's got to be done fairly soon. You can borrow from one of your other accounts. You can do that, but here's the thing. You have to pay it back into that other pot. So yeah, you can do all of those things. Of course you can, absolutely.
Yeah, you can do anything.
This is all about knowing what you're doing as opposed to it all being in one pot and you are absolutely not managing your money.
Yeah.
By having sevevel pots, you're managing
And that's a
your money.
majority.
Yeah, I would really highly, in fact, like everybody needs to know this. Look at the video that we have on the money management system and the pots.
I think there's a piece missing. And the piece missing is you need to know where you're going.
Okay.
Because that's obviously going to give you the clarity you need.
Well, you need to know where you are as well.
Yeah, you need to know where you are and where you're going. So if you want to become a multimillionaire, you ask yourself, is it okay to post investing, to go on a big travel and spend all your money?
Good one.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Right? So you need to know
but
where
people
you're
would go, well, yeah, but you got to live. But what Dennis just said is, if your goal is, and some of you might go, that's not a great goal. Listen, if that's a person's goal, it's fine. If that is their goal, that's their goal, right? And so that's a great one. So if that's their goal, ask the question, is it okay to pause and to go traveling?
And your gut feeling will tell you. If my goal is to reach a certain number of body fat, is it okay to me to eat a whole thing of ice cream?
Well, crisps, I think you just ate. It wasn't ice cream.
Listen.
I've never seen him do that. This is his day off or something. I don't know. I've
It
never
was
seen you
actually
do
your
that.
fault.
I know, it was my fault.
Yeah, but then you
Blame
were held
everybody else.
accountable. Yeah, that was my fault. I did sometimes, Oh, what is happening? Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, no, I think so. I think to summarize this, I think you have to sit down, see where you are right now. Are you happy with it? Great, continue. If you're not happy and you want to do something about it, I think having the money management system, but also finding out where you want to go in life. And I really love the slide you show sometimes with, imagine you're now running a marathon, but you have holes in your water, right? And it just, you keep trying to fill it up, but it just has holes and you need to plug those. And I think that's such a great analogy, because people, when they come approaching the finish line in the analogy of life, they haven't had a plan. And all of a sudden they're like, shit, I should have done something different. It's too late. So now, I think.
Grab your plan, make sure you do that. Hey, listen, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for all the contributions here. Let us know what it is that you want us to talk about, because I think next time we're going to be talking about this, and you're going to talk about it because I'm about to cough.
Yeah. So the next week's show, my friends, is going to be what money beliefs did you have to unlearn?
Ooh, to unlearn. See, most people think that they need to learn new things. But most of us need to unlearn the things that just aren't right or aren't working for you. So next week's show, what money belief did you have to unlearn? Again, we'll see you next week on the Lunchtime Investor Show. Take care. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, thank you, Marcus.